hey, it's going to be 2025. It is 2025. The draft is coming. College football is right down the line in August, so we're getting excited about it. There's a lot of Cinderella teams, a lot of those teams out there that came out of nowhere and did great things. Obviously, we know about the Arizona States, the SMUs, some of these teams that maybe, you know, uh, Boise State, some of these teams that maybe the consensus was they didn't belong, or maybe we had to see what they could do. Unfortunately, in some situations, they got crushed, but the story of them getting to that place, looking at Navy and Army and how well they did going throughout the
Mhm.
season until they kind of faltered in the end. I'm going around. Eric, I'm coming to you first. Who will be this year's Cinderella team? And it could be anybody because a lot of people did outside of in South Bend. A lot of people weren't thinking Notre Dame was going to go to that final game, but they took it all that distance. So who's going to be some Cinderella teams this year?
Don't you dare compare us
I
to Cinderella team.
was going to say NIU, they didn't make it far after y'all. So
What
we'll,
is
we'll
that nonsense? Um, yeah, I think of the Indianas of the world. I think one team that maybe I'm kind of hopeful for and rooting for is Kansas State. I think they're in
mhm.
a very easy conference to navigate, and
Yeah,
they've got a few really fun players.
oh
Avery
yeah,
Johnson had a
love their
great
quarterback.
year last year. Jace, I think last name Boyce, receiver, had an
Hmm.
outstanding year as well. And then running back, they lost one of the guys that Will mentioned earlier in DJ, but I am fascinated to see what Dylan Edwards does.
Hmm.
His short year at Colorado, absolutely electric when they got the ball in his hands. Even last year when he transferred to Kansas State, still a really productive season behind a very productive starting back. Um, Colin Klein, since he's got to Kansas State, has done a really good job. So um, I might be rooting for them more, but I definitely think they've got the pieces to make a run in the Big 12. And if we're talking Cinderella, um, getting into the dance is the biggest part, and I
Hmm.
think they probably have one of the easier paths to navigate for a Cinderella team. Um, I'll add an insult as well as just one other team, and this is less of projecting them to be a Cinderella, but I'm really fascinated to see what happens at Southern Cal. Um,
Hmm.
I was thinking
they
that.
they invested a ton of money this past year in their football program. After Lincoln hasn't gotten much done so far out there. Um, so I'm really curious. They've got a lot of great players. They're throwing out the money with NIL. I really like Jordan Mayava when we got to play
Hmm.
against them, um, and the pressure. There must really be a pressure to win now. The way they're throwing money at the football program, I don't know that Lincoln has that much time left if they don't make a good run. So again, I'm not projecting it. I anticipate they're going to lose in October for sure. But otherwise, yeah, I'm really excited to see what Southern Cal what comes of them.
Oh, I love that. Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Will, who you got, man? How far is South Carolina going?
So here's what's kind of interesting about the SEC is there's a lot of replacing of
Hmm.
talent that needs to
Yep.
happen on programs that are normally middle of the road to good that have lost a lot that we need to see. So you're going to have we've already mentioned Texas and Georgia, and you've got LSU with Nussmeier at quarterback. So those could be the top three going into it. But you've got Tennessee that has to replace, some top end talent. And can Heupel keep that going? So that's going to be kind of the question mark. You've got Alabama, who's lost their quarterback, and you brought in a new offensive coordinator. So there's just a lot of questions. Ole Miss, are they going to be able to replace it? So it makes me kind of wonder with the Gamecocks, the fact that you've got a quarterback in place. He's got his offensive coordinator has been elevated. He was there last year to see what kind of run they are. But the team that it's the easy one, it's already been mentioned, but this is the make or break year for Billy Napier, and you get a full season of DJ Lagway, and he's had a couple of years of recruiting. It's just you gotta wonder, is Florida going to put it together this next year? The other one, this is the little bit of a I just think he's a good coach. He's only an offensive coordinator at this point, but I'm kind of interested to see in year 2 of Bobby Petrino, who he brings in at Arkansas, and what does he do? Because the man knows how to coach college football. So I'm curious, they're not picked very high right now, but when you talk about that team that vaults themselves up, and with all these teams with the turnovers, of rosters, the Mizzous and that type of stuff, there could be room for Arkansas to have themselves a good season.
Will, I like that.
On that point, I've thought about this a bunch. Let's say Arkansas doesn't start out well. Is there a chance that Petrino becomes the head coach of Arkansas again?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Over Sam Pittman? I mean, they're waiting to get rid of Pittman. I can't believe they've kept him on.
Isn't it fascinating from the motorcycle to the fact that he could be the head coach again? That just blows my mind.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, when he was the head coach at Arkansas, they were a top 5 team.
Yeah.
Why, if you're Arkansas, why would you not do it?
Yeah. If Hugh Freeze can
clear
up his act, then why can't I get Petrino?
Yep.
Oh man. It's the SEC where we just hide or overlook more.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, me.
Mean more.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
There we go. That's a new catchphrase.
Alex, man, what you think, man? Who are some of your Cinderellas?
So I got 3. I got 2 out of Power 4 and 1 in the Power 4. I'll start with the out of Power 4 teams. For me, UNLV.
Yeah.
With
there you go.
Genty leaving Boise State, Mullen coming in, who's a great coach, and especially he's going to be a great coach outside Power 4 conference. I really like what they're doing. It's going to be interesting to see who wins that quarterback job. I hope for their sake it's not Alex Orji, but he might actually be decent there. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that's a program that's done really well lately. And with an upgrade at coach, I think they can take that next step forward. I'm going from the Mountain West down to the Sun Belt. Arkansas State. I like Arkansas State a lot this year.
Like that.
Watching them in the Big House this past year, I love Jalen Rayner, their quarterback. And he's young, and he took some lumps and stayed in there and made some plays. So I'm high on them this year. I think he can carry them, probably not playoffs, but near the top of the Sun Belt. I think that's absolutely reasonable for Arkansas State this year. And a team with a ton of turnover in the Power 4. Oddly enough, I think the game that's going to decide the Big 12 is the end of November. Kansas State and Colorado. I think Caden Salter going in there, taking over at quarterback, letting Julian Lewis learn for a year. I like, again, what they've done in the transfer portal. They've built up the roster even more, and it's not going to be so reliant on Shedeur to Travis Hunter. So I think it's going to be a better, more complete team. The offensive line's improved, both in the run and pass game, which was atrocious the past 2 years. So I think, like Eric said, in a weak Big 12, I think they're right in the running with Kansas State this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And going from one weak division to another division that a lot of people have talked about, I'm going to my ACC. Yes, I am. I'm talking about it. Part of it because the division's still kind of struggling. We don't know what Florida State's going to be. Clemson, while they dominate us, they're kind of up and down. So I'm looking at 3 teams in there. One we saw came in and had a dominant year last year and was last year's Cinderella, and that's SMU. They're returning, I believe, like 10 or 11 starters, including their quarterback, their running back. I mean, they've got the talent, and their schedule is very favorable. So I think we can see them, especially towards November, December, talking and having that same conversation we had from a year ago. I had UNLV as well. I just love everything about their progress, where they were going from last year. But staying in the ACC, I got to go with the team that gave Georgia everything that they can handle at the end of last year, and that's Georgia Tech. And I know it's been a long time since Georgia Tech has really been prominent and everything, but they're bringing back their quarterback in Haynes King. They're bringing back a lot of key starters, including Jamal Haynes, a running back. They have, again, another favorable schedule where their only real tough matchups, I believe, are Clemson and then Georgia towards the end of the year. So if you can sit there and win the majority of those games, get yourself into the ACC tournament, then you can potentially shock somebody and surprise them and get into the big. And then my last one, I wouldn't be me if I didn't. 12 overall in the transfer portal, new head coach, more money into the area. We have a solid roster. The quarterback conversation is going to be very interesting. So I don't know. We're going a guy that we had from last year. I don't know, and Mike Johnson's not going to be back. So I'm hoping somebody else comes up at the woodworks and comes in. But I'm loving what he's doing in house as far as you're not hearing a lot of stuff. We're not. You're talking. You're hearing the stuff like the moves, things that being made, but there's not a lot of confusion. There's not a lot. And to go from Mac Brown and how great he was to another one, and it's just like that same kind of professionalism. It has us in Chapel Hill excited about the football team. In fact, we're more excited this time of the year, which is not common. We're more excited in March and April right now for football than we are for basketball. And that kind of says something about the basketball school that is UNC, that how things are kind of changing and evolving. I'm interested to see what Belichick does. Just for the simple fact that now we've got so many eyes on us and so much attention on us. Now let's and then the recruits, the transfers, these guys are coming in. Let's start to see what kind of talent he brings in, and then how that translates in what we still deem as probably the weakest of the Power Five conferences in the ACC, or week or two of in the ACC. So I'm very eager to see what North Carolina can bring to the table this year. So
I think everybody is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, to win 8 games in the ACC should not be very difficult. So yeah, I think he's going to be successful there. You know, he's going to be making them to the bowl games immediately.
Yeah. I have to ask Will. He can finish this when I get the question off. There's something that they're doing in North Carolina right now, like all off season. It's this new exercise program that's changing the world. Will, what was that?
It works on your flexibility. It's called Pilates.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah. Hey, man, if you're in your 70s and you can do that, you got to give credit to that guy.
Come on. Yep. And we're getting younger. I don't know if you saw Lil Wayne was on campus. You know, I mean, come on now. His young girlfriend is bringing the younger crowd in. Bill's hip. Bill is hip. All right, we're ready.
So let me ask you this. It was brought in by Ben and Alex. You would know this probably best, but what's going on in Tallahassee and what's going on in Coral Gables especially when it comes to replacing Cam Ward and another year of what's his name, Cristobal?
Well, I mean, Miami, it's Carson Beck.
Yeah,
he's going to be the guy there. That's right off the bat. They're handing him the keys. I just realized that was kind of a Georgia pun, but neither here nor there. As far as Tallahassee, that's a good question. It seems like it's kind of tear it down and rebuild almost. Like I haven't heard much about who the quarterback's going to be. Haven't heard much about like the top big name players that are going to be wearing their colors this year. There hasn't been much.
So
Ukulele's not there anymore, right?
No, but they did get a good quarterback. So
they get Castellanos from Boston College.
They got Castellanos, and then and then they got Malzahn. So as a coordinator,
that's right.
Gus has been nothing but fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's right. He stepped down as the UCF head coach to go be the the OC.
That's
Mhm.
wild.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Is he waiting for Norvell to get canned and take over there?
Right.
But they just gave Norvell a friggin' that giant extension. So
Yeah. I just can't
But-
see, it's just too fertile in Florida to not build that program back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost a lot too, though.
Yeah.
Just through the portal and that good stuff. So it'll be interesting. But Norvell, I mean, he made his name doing a lot with less. So I could see them bouncing back and being a pretty good team, even if the names don't pop out at us.
Yep.
Absolutely.
College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Lucian.